The showcase of the Immortals got off to an explosive start, with Seth Rollins curb-stomping Brock Lesnar 3 times and winning the Universal Championship in just 2.5 minutes. What's going on, and why did Rollins not only win, but win in convincing fashion? Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at why Seth Rollins won the Universal Championship at Wrestlemania 35. Number 1. Brock Lesnar is going to UFC. Wrestling fans have heard that Brock Lesnar is returning to UFC so many times that it's right up there with the check is in the mail and the WWE is going to listen to the fans. Industry insiders and fans alike came to the realization that Lesnar teased jumping to the UFC as a way to squeeze more and more money from Vince McMahon. Lesnar, who reportedly signed a 7-figure deal when he returned to beat Braun Strowman at the WWE's Crown Jewel, was supposedly leaving the WWE last year at WrestleMania 34. When Lesnar retained the Universal Championship against Roman Reigns at Mania 34, fans figured he'd signed a short-term deal to drop the belt at SummerSlam. Last March, UFC President Dana White commented on all Daniel Cormier has done for UFC and discussed his request to battle the Beast, saying, "I think Brock and Cormier want that fight. I owe Cormier a lot. Cormier wants that fight, so Cormier is going to get it." Cormier, who is 40, is reportedly contemplating retirement, but he wants one last fight with Brock Lesnar. The fight would undoubtedly lead to a big payday for both Cormier and Lesnar, giving Lesnar a chance to test the UFC waters and figure out his future. While this may chill WWE fans, it's likely the door will always be open for Lesnar to return to the WWE. Number 2. Vince McMahon finally realized the Brock Lesnar experiment was a failure. Vince McMahon has always been a huge proponent of featuring larger-than-life wrestlers as his champions, beginning with Hulk Hogan and continuing through with Brock Lesnar. While there have always been exceptions, the WWE CEO likes seeing a big man holding the WWE's top prize, or in this case, Raw's top prize. Combine Lesnar's legitimate MMA skills with his size and muscle, and you have everything Vince likes. The problem was that McMahon was willing to pay anything to get Lesnar in the WWE, and Lesnar knew it. Whether it was Lesnar's top dollar salary or his extremely light work schedule, Lesnar normally calls the shots, often phoning it in on the rare occasions he wrestled. While there was some logic to the WWE wanting to create a mystique around Lesnar and make his title defenses a special event, the latter goal failed, and the former was executed in a way that devastated anyone who stepped into the ring. Rather than seeing his title defenses as special, fans grew bored with Lesnar's defenses and often with Lesnar himself. The results are evident by no spike in ratings or pay-per-views headlined by Lesnar. Even worse, Lesnar's squash wins over top stars never resulted in a payoff where Lesnar was ultimately defeated, taking his opponent to the next level. His list of victims is long, and the list of wrestlers who beat him contains no evidence of said win elevating their career. While Wrestlelamia is speculating here, even Vince McMahon has his limits, and regardless of how enamored he initially was by the Beast incarnate, Lesnar's increasing demands to stay around with no apparent payoff must have forced him to listen to Triple H and pull the belt off Lesnar. While we'd like to say this is a lasting thing, the mercurial McMahon could easily change his mind and ask Lesnar to come back. Number 3. The WWE finally realizes it needs a full-time champion on Raw. All Elite Wrestling is still months from debuting, but the WWE is already preparing for war. While the WWE is flush with cash thanks to its lucrative TV deals with the USA Network and Fox, its ratings are down, as is its house show attendances. As we discussed in our recent video on the Raw and SmackDown Live Women's Championship being unified, World Championships are still a draw, even if they aren't the same draw as they were in the past. Having a World Champion, or here a Universal Champion, who rarely shows up on TV or defends the title is just bad business. There's something special about seeing a World Champion live, whether it's at a house show or on Raw, not to mention the WWE's pay-per-views. Having a full-time champion allows the WWE the chance to run more programs featuring one or more superstars chasing down the Universal Championship. That's difficult to do when the champion only appears a handful of times a year. Granted, the WWE doesn't want to go the other way and saturate the airwaves with Universal Championship defenses every week on television, but the availability of a full-time champion means the company can return to running programs that last several months between a contender and the champion. Number 4. Rollins' win creates fresh matchups for the Universal Championship. With Brock Lesnar more or less holding the Universal Championship hostage, there weren't many opportunities for any superstars to face him. Furthermore, he's gone through most of Raw's main event players, usually in convincing fashion. If Lesnar did retain and went on to defend the belt in Saudi Arabia or at SummerSlam, who would he face? Roman Reigns? Braun Strowman? Seth Rollins? Lesnar's faced these wrestlers way too many times, and a win over Rollins would have only made things worse. Now, not only does Raw now have a full-time champion, but it has Seth Rollins, a superstar who can work with any opponent and who has plenty of fresh matchups available, including possible high-profile bouts against Shield teammate Roman Reigns, powerhouse Braun Strowman, although his Battle Royal win didn't help him, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. With NXT stars coming in, there's even more superstars for the Kingslayer, or should we say Beast Slayer, to fight. Number 5. The WWE wanted an unforgettable opening match. There's no question that WWE was loading up this year's WrestleMania event, throwing in 16 matches including 9 championship bouts. Frankly, the WWE is not only facing legitimate competition from All Elite Wrestling, but it's seeing upstarts such as New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor taking advantage of the WWE's complacency, as seen by the Madison Square Garden G1 Supercard of Honor Super Show held at WWE's home base, Madison Square Garden. When the WWE started ignoring the Garden, Ring of Honor and New Japan moved in, running its show the day before WrestleMania. In fact, some believe the WWE held NXT TakeOver New York on Friday so as not to face competition from the G1 Supercard. It's clear the WWE is sending a message with WrestleMania 35 that they've taken notice of their would-be competitors and that the WWE is still the biggest show in the wrestling world. Number 6. It's fan service through and through. Seth Rollins is over with the WWE Universe, an undeniable fact whether it was his first run in the Shield, his later work as WWE World Heavyweight Champion, or his current quest for the Universal Championship. Rollins is the type of workhorse wrestler who would likely have held the Intercontinental Championship proudly during the Rock and Wrestling era, but who, like Bret and Shawn Michaels, has repeatedly proven his value as a main event player. The WWE always likes to give the fans a feel-good moment, and while that doesn't guarantee the babyface will walk out the winner in the main event, the WWE doesn't go out of its way to enrage its fans in every match at its flagship show. With Lesnar possibly on his way out and the WWE wanting to get things started the right way, it's smart to serve the fans by giving their hero Seth Rollins the Universal Championship. And number 7. The WWE wants to send a message to superstars with contracts about to renew. With All Elite Wrestling offering big money contracts to bring in the creme de la creme of the wrestling world, it's no surprise that the WWE has been eager to re-sign superstars to new contracts, something Hangman Adam Page discussed back in February. I know of a lot of guys whose offers doubled because there's somebody else playing ball now. Knowing that I contributed to that in some ways was probably the biggest selling point to me. In March, the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer commented on the situation, noting, "Everyone whose contract expires anytime this year is being given big money offers to sign for obvious reasons. Many have not signed because they are waiting to see the lay of the land when their deals are up. While there's nothing quite as convincing as cold hard cash, wrestlers also like to know what their work environment is like, particularly concerning how the WWE treats its full-time employees. Putting one of the promotion's biggest belts on a part-time performer and paying him a small fortune irked some of the WWE stars, with aspiring stars and veterans wondering why Brock Lesnar was rewarded for doing so little. Indeed, some wrestlers are happy whether it's working in a pin me or pay me role or they're given championship belts. However, others like to feel there's room for advancement, especially when they've been in the company for several years. History has shown that some wrestlers prefer working for less in a company where they know there's upward mobility and greater opportunities to spotlight their skills. While there's no telling how the WWE will act in the future, Rollins' win is a good sign for anyone considering staying in the company. Previously, Wrestlelamia had discussed Vince McMahon's mixed feelings about Rollins' viability, but the Architects Universal Championship win suggests McMahon is willing to show other wrestlers that the WWE doesn't have a glass ceiling. But there you have it, guys, the reasons why Brock Lesnar dropped the belt to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 35. What did you think of the match, as the bout itself didn't even last 3 minutes? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.